Good morning and happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Money Matters with myself, Randy Mendez, with the Mendez Home Team at eXp Realty, and Sharon Thompson at Alameda Home Mortgage. Hey, Sharon.
Hello and good morning.
We just jumped on here instantly because I had the honor of interviewing an agent this morning that's looking at our team. And I was so excited and I was doing that. And then I saw your text and I was like, oh my goodness. So poor Sharon, I jumped in. I was like, okay, we're going live. So how are you? How have you been?
Good, good. Are you guys got any big plans for Mother's Day?
It's so funny. I don't know if you watched my morning show this morning with Real Estate Mega Moms, but we did our podcast. It's Faith Friday, so we're talking about faith, but we started off by weekend plans, right? And we're talking about them. And one of our newest partners that we brought on, Stephanie, she says to us, "Well, on Saturday I've got some graduations, and then on Sunday I'm just going to relax for Mother's Day." And my face kind of dropped. I was like, "It's Mother's Day." So I was like, oh, well, I'm going to have some new plans because I have a mother. So that's what you have. I will be figuring out exactly how to attend to my mother, but I haven't figured that out yet. What about you? What are you doing?
One of my best friends is flying in from LA with her husband and her two little kids. So they're coming
Yay.
in today and we are just going to relax and I'm going to show them all around Reno. I'm debating on Virginia City or Tahoe because it's going to be kind of cold. So do we do Tahoe or do I take them to Virginia City where it's going to be a little bit warmer? Because I don't know. What do you think?
It's so funny that you said that because, I have my upcoming event, my abundance conference, where we're going to have agents from across the country coming in. And I had two of my agents that are just amazing out of Texas coming in. And they're like, what day should we leave? And so in my head, I'm like, well, I mean, if you're coming across the country, you should probably stay a day or two. And so literally I was like, okay, you need to do Tahoe and Virginia City. So those were my two. I mean, talk about showing people two different worlds.
Oh, I know. I know. So, I mean, if this weekend specifically with the weather, where would you send people?
I probably do. I mean, Tahoe is so beautiful, but I'm a Virginia City girl. See, Sharon, I like old Nevada, so I'm always going to pick Virginia City.
All right, then
You know
Virginia
what I
City
mean?
and Bloody Marys it is for Saturday.
Yeah, that is, I mean, I go to the Rocky Mountain Oyster Festival up there. I do St. Patrick's Day up there. I like that. Just it feels like the Nevada I grew up in. I mean, let's not
Right.
give myself that much. For the records, I didn't grow up in 1800. So, but today, what are we talking about? Today, we're talking about the 3 P's to winning. Is that right?
3 P's to winning in this market.
All right. So, what is our first P?
Persistence. Persistence is our first P, and so I'm going to let you lead the way with a persistence.
Yeah, I would just say, immediately when you say persistence, it comes to mind just like a flood of names come to mind because there's so many people that have tapped out. And I'm not saying that I don't understand why. I'm not saying that I'm not empathetic to why. But what I am seeing more and more is, we have our own hunches as professionals, kind of what we feel. And I feel that we might see some correcting, but I don't feel like we're going to see this massive downturn. So when some of my clients stop being persistent and they tap out, it worries me because what is the plan to get back in, right? Because I don't know that we're going to see enough of a change that all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, it's totally easy to get into the market now. And the more that I lean into industry professionals and financial gurus, this market is not, it's not a bubble. It's a true housing shortage. And it's also something that's expected to stay for the next 5 to 10 years. And so why I share that is because, most people would even recommend that if you're selling, some people are like, well, I'm going to sell and then I'm going to tap completely out of the market and come back at a better time. No, don't do that because you might not be able to come back to the market. And so that's why I'm talking about it, is because when you lose the persistence and when you can't stay the course, I just don't know. We've talked about this in previous podcast episodes and previous shows. We've talked about, did you miss the boat? And we've talked about, you've definitely missed boats, but there's still boats. And I would just say right now, I would actually lean in and dare to say, if you're giving up and you're not being persistent and you're not staying in this market, there's a chance you're going to permanently miss a boat here.
I would, when we talk about persistence, and I thought about the 3 P's this morning a lot, and it is a tough market. And I've talked to every one of my clients, and we have a lot of clients that, 6 months ago like we've talked about, $15,000 would have gotten them in the market. And we're not seeing that today. However, you and I had a client that's VA, and we were worried. VAs aren't getting picked up as much as we would like to see, for no reason except for, obviously in ignorance at times. And sure enough, here we have a seller who is a vet. And what did he love? Our VA offer. And what did we come in at? 25,000, I believe, over asking. And what did the appraisal come at? It came in at value. So had these and these clients were persistent. Oh my God, text, calls. What about this? What about that? Can we go see it? We're ready to go. They were super persistent. And in a very short period of time, we got them in a house. And it's one thing that I tell every one of my clients. I'm like, yes, this is a tough market. Yes, it is absolute insanity, but we will find, like you said, your boat. We'll find your boat. But you got to be persistent and you got to stick with us. And not all deals out there are $50,000 cash over asking. We just have to be persistent. Oh, I can't hear you.
I muted myself, sorry. It's funny that you say that, because that's a great point, and that's a layer on the persistence. For me, I'm just thinking about the fact you just have to persistently keep looking. But you're 100% right. Even if you're looking, the level of persistence you bring does have a different outcome. Because the truth is, here's a spoiler alert right now. The truth is, if you expect your agent to be everything to you right now, if the agent is surviving in this market, they can't be everything to you. And what I mean by that is, most agents need more than one client to survive. That's just the truth. There's very few agents that can survive off one client. And I'm talking about, you got to understand, if you're in contract, they probably have to be working 5 clients right now, maybe even 10 clients to have one contract. Okay. So they have so much more right now in this market, that the reality is that if you're coming alongside them and you're seeing this as a team effort, like they're hunting here, I'm hunting here. If I find this, then they're going to go and they're going to do X, Y, Z. That's perfect to what you were speaking to right now, because it was a kind of a combination of, we sent a house, but then they were persistent in making sure we saw it. They were persistent in making sure they opened their schedule and communicating with us, and persistent in making sure that we had a clear conversation and a plan of attack to go for it. And like both of us being persistent, but each of us having the expectation that what this market is and what that's going to look like and what it's going to require from us, took it to the winning combination. And ironically, I just shared with some of my coaching students this week that, right now VAs are actually my winning offers. And so I had somebody that was deflated and asked what was happening with VAs and FHAs. And then I will tell you, we just got an off-market FHA contingent offer accepted this week. So, don't get me wrong, there's still the needles in the haystack, but it's persistence. And listen, I had to have a conversation with my client I don't have often, but it was, we're going to move fast and we're going to lock this up, and then we're going to sit down and then we're going to talk about all the moving parts. And I don't do that. That's not who I am. That is not who I am. I am the person that needs you to understand crystal clear point A to Z before we make a decision. But you know what? In this market, we have to have persistence, and we have to know when to act, and we have to have that. When we have a limited window, we have to take it. And so I said, look, we're secure in this, and then we'll talk about everything. And that's what we did,
Good. I'm excited to hear that you got that one in contract.
Yes.
So I think I know which one it is.
I'm excited as well. So we've got persistence. So don't tap out. Don't leave the game. And know that when you're going to be in the game, that means you get off the bench. You get off the bench, you get in the mud, and you make this happen. Absolutely. What is our next P, Sharon?
Prepared. Be prepared. Yeah. How can our clients be prepared in this market?
Oh my goodness. I feel like this list is growing. I feel like this is an ever growing list. And I think it starts with simple things, leaning into your professionals. But I think it's important to have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. I think it's important to be on top of all of your moving parts. I think it's also to be on top of your plans, right? So I know that right now, Sharon, we're equipping clients with like plan A, plan B, plan C, but even making sure that you're doing, I have a client right now that she's kind of been advised of 2 or 3 things she should do, and she hasn't necessarily been on top of those and prepared. And so now all of the pieces have fallen together magically, and now we're going to have to figure out if timing is going to be the Achilles heel and make everything come falling apart because she wasn't prepared and having a couple things done ahead of time that we're going to kind of have to be chasing. And so I do again think that this is important to be prepared to have a flexible schedule, be prepared to jump quickly and move quickly, be prepared to remove some expectations, be prepared in financing. I mean across the spectrum, I think you almost have to be prepared for anything. Like I know that's a loaded thing, but like you have to know in this market anything could come your way, and you have to be willing to at least explore it.
Right. I think being prepared for me, couple different things is on the lending side, our funds in line, our gift letters in line if we're doing gifts, our 401ks ready to be cashed out if we're using 401ks, our pre-approvals. I would say, out there to the real estate partners, being prepared with your lender is, really pushing your lender to make sure, do we have an underwriting approval? Has a processor or underwriter taken a peek at that file? How far ahead of the process can we get to where we can strike? I have another deal. We're not on it together. And it's closing in 3 weeks. The client was prepared. I was prepared. And both of the agents have emailed me like, are we actually going to close next week? And I'm like, I really think we are. Like, until I see the docs, I'm not going to say anything, but I think we're going to close next week in 3 weeks. And I'm like, I can't say it out loud. I won't do it. Right. Being prepared. And then also, being prepared. You specifically coached a client this week, like, listen, they're not going to do repairs. So you need to be prepared. If repairs are called out, we're doing them. Right. Like, you're going to have to get a handyman over there or whatever. But I mean, we have to be prepared, and coaching our clients for this stuff. I know that you've heard every way to Sunday. Clients are like, oh, let's go in 10K under. And it's like, no, we're not doing that. Or like you said, there's no repair allowance. There's no, either you like it or you don't, period, moving on. So it's keeping our clients prepared for all expectations that are going to happen that we've seen throughout the years. And now we've had to change, like you said, if you see a broken dishwasher, we want the seller to fix that. Nope. Go on Craigslist, find yourself a used dishwasher. We're not talking about it. So
it's funny that you said specifically, we're going to offer 10,000. I screenshotted this yesterday. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of hard to see, but it says, it's like this meme, and the buyer saying, I'm going to offer 10,000 under, and then it's the one guy from that movie. And it's like, no, you're not. So anyways, it's a funny meme. So it's funny you said that, but here's the thing. And I like to simplify things because, I like to work with people the way that I would want to be worked with. And here's the thing. If I'm not in this industry, I'm not a professional. I'm going to feel extremely overwhelmed. And I'm also going to feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose in this process. And when you start talking and breaking down these plans to me, it's going to be a lot. But here's how I really summarize preparedness, when I'm talking to a buyer. Listen, you need to choose your professionals. You need to trust your professionals, and then you need to lean into your professionals and follow their advice and understand their advice. And so the thing is, you don't need to know by yourself how to get prepared. You don't need to understand. Like, I have a buyer right now, and this is the beautiful thing when you find yourself, professionals and skilled, people in this industry that are going to go to bat for you. I have a client right now that doesn't even know the holes in her transaction because we're not there yet. We're not there yet. I don't even need to put them on her radar yet, because right now all it would do was cause her stress. So what I said to her is, I need you to talk to a second lender for me. I need you to talk to a second lender for me. I have a couple concerns. I'll go over those concerns with you. I absolutely am not trying to move you. I don't want to move you, but talk to the second lender over here. I'm worried about 1, 2, 3, and I just want to make sure we have a plan. Then I'm going to have that second person look at it. We're going to look at it together. I've looked at it with the first person. I've outlined it with the first person. Here's our plan. And I'm going to go back to them, and I'm just going to say, hey, listen, here's the hole. Here's why it could be a problem. Here's how the lender can come over this. Here's how you can come over this. Here's what we need from you. And I think, and I would hope that, most of my clients would agree that there's tremendous value in not bringing a problem that's just going to panic you and overwhelm you, but rather bringing you a solution and just saying, okay, the one thing I have to do is I have to make sure I pay this debt down, or I have to make sure that I am equipped to make those lender required repairs, or I have to, I just think that's so much easier. And so I think the biggest thing right now is just knowing how important it is to be open, to be honest, to be transparent, to be vulnerable, because we are working harder than ever in this industry as real estate agents, as lenders, to look at every single avenue, not to just, find you a house, but to kick down the freaking door and get you an offer accepted. Like, we are coming in blazing, doing everything we can, but this isn't the time to not get in the mud with us, right? And so when we talk about prepared, just know that that doesn't mean you have to understand every moving part. That doesn't mean that you can't have a problem. That doesn't mean you can't be human and need some, have a bill that needs to be paid, or have things happening. But it does mean you have to be open, and you have to be honest, you have to be transparent, and you have to work the course with us.
Exactly. What was I going to say? That to be prepared in this industry is so many things. And like you said, working with a professional, a younger real estate agent probably would not have noticed all those issues that you did, to say, let's get a second lender, let's get a second opinion, because we are on a tight time frame. And I even had a client email me, a client that we worked together, and specifically said, I don't know how you guys are doing it. Wow, what a freaking crazy roller coaster we were on compared to the last time we bought.
Right.
And appreciate you and Randy for all your help. And man, that was crazy. And I was like, it is, but we're getting through it. Just a couple extra things that we deal with.
Just a couple.
Our third and final P, how to be. So we have persistence, be prepared, and then also be patient.
Yeah. Oh boy, that one, right? But don't be so patient that I just have buyers that, they're so patient that they're like, okay, well, I'll just stop looking. And I'm like, no, not that patient. So I think it's a perfect mix. I think that the 3 Ps, you have to have them all. That's what I think you have to have. I think it's a winning combination. I think you can't just take the road of, okay, I'm patient. You know what? When it happens, it happens. If we find the house, we find the house. I don't think you can do that in this market. I think you have to add the persistence to it. But I think that with the patience comes, you know what? It's probably going to take me 3 or 4 knockouts. It's going to take 3 or 4 times of getting that rejection, or maybe even 5 times of getting that rejection. But I'm going to be patient, and I'm going to get back up, and I'm going to rise again, and I'm going to stay in the game. I think that that's kind of the component. And I also think patience. I'm just going to say, I'm going to be real and raw and honest right here. And I'm going to be authentic. Patience goes a long ways in this market. I mean, we are all burning the candle at both ends. And thank you. We're burning the candle at both ends. And it's tough right now for us. And I can just say that, I've had a couple clients referred to me recently. And I mean, we're moving as quick as we can to get them. And they get approved. And within 15 minutes, they want to be in contract. And if they're not, 24 hours later, they're like, yeah, I just think I'm moving on. And it's a little bit painful, but that right there is one of the things that I would say about patience. If you have found yourself a skilled professional that is going to go the extra mile for you, and you see them working, and you see them working hard, understand that we got a lot of things. There's COVID overlays. People are like, well, why can't you just get me in the house? Because some people don't want more than one person in their house at a time, right? We have COVID overlays. We have showing restrictions. We have 150 people looking at one house. We have a lot of moving parts to coordinate right now. So I think having the expectation that you're going to have to be patient on, it might take a little longer to get a showing confirmed. It might take a little bit longer to do things. It might take a little bit longer to get an appraisal back, right? It might take a little bit longer to know the missing pieces, even in the transaction. There's so many things that we would love to just let you know right up front, day one, that we can't. We have to wait till we get those. I think that will save you a lot of headaches and a lot of disappointment.
Absolutely.
Did I touch on patience enough, or you got another?
I think that you touched on patience. The only thing that I would add is just, like you said, patience with the professionals that you're working with, patience
Right.
with our time. We are 24/7 right now, and we are moving as quick as we can. And then just patience, like you said, with the market. It might take a couple offers. Just take a deep breath and know that, like I've told everybody, the people that don't have the $50,000 cash, I'm like, we're going to have to be a little bit more patient, but we're going to find it. Just stick with it, hang tight, and be patient. And the right house will always come along when somebody is persistent and prepared.
and patient. There's your
And
3 P's,
patient.
folks. So you have your 3 P's. And as always, if you already have a great real estate agent or a fantastic lending person, just lean into them. But if you don't, we would love the honor to get to be that team for you, and or the singular. We don't have to come as a package, although we do work well as a package. So my number is 775-379-8344. And Sharon, what is yours?
949-201-8940.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Make sure you let us know your questions so we can answer them next week on another episode of Money Matters. Bye, guys.
Happy Friday.